Hello, good afternoon again, and thanks again for joining us at the Hanover Messe Hydrogen Fuel Cell Batteries Group exhibit. Thanks for sticking around, and as you know, please feel free to get some drinks from the ladies here. We're happy to help. This afternoon I'll be speaking with Bertrand Amelot, who's the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at McPhy Energy. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank
Good afternoon, Robin.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'd like to speak, first of all, your topic is SimpleFuel, which is the name of your unit, and it's a game-changing hydrogen refueling station, a all-in-one production, storage, and dispensing system. So first, I'd like to ask you if you can tell me a little bit about your company and a bit about your history.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much. It's a unique conference to launch this product in Europe, and we are very glad to contribute to this event in Hanover Fair.
Great to have you back.
A few words on McPhy is a European company, 85 people with a free industrial footprint in France, in Germany, and in Italy. Our company is providing full solution, package solution from electrolyzer to solid storage and dispenser for hydrogen. And we are doing from very small units that we are going to talk about, but we also come from a very large industrial background with multi-megawatt units. We are also glad this week to announce that we are going to we shipped currently 4 megawatt to China. But today we want to discuss about small, and small can be also beautiful, even if big projects are also very interesting.
Yes, of course. So we hear a lot about innovation always, but I'd like to ask you about, as far as your product goes, about usage and innovation on the service.
Correct. The DNA of McPhy is really to look at how we can bring service to the market using technology. So new technology can bring new service to the customer. And that's really the entry point that we got in mind when we thought of what needs the mobility market and the fuel cell market to accelerate. Based on that, I think it is very fair also to say when you have good ideas, it's good sometimes to look at the future and look what happened in the past, because probably some customer or market already faced the same kind of situation. And especially if we look back at 130 years ago, I'm not going to speak about telecom, internet, machine to machine. Let's look very far away, 130 years ago in Germany as well. In 1888, Mr. Benz had a beautiful car called the M3 since 2 years. And everybody was saying it's a very nice product, but you will use it only in the town because the horses are working fine, your chariot, and they have relay system where they can go on the roads, so there is no place for the cars. What happened 2 years after is that Bertha Benz, the woman and the wife of Mr. Benz, say, I am fed up with this startup who has no future. She took the car in the morning and went for a nice picnic from Mannheim to Pforzheim. And she made 100 kilometers with the 2 kids, and it's something nobody never did. And she found a way to have her own retailer and dispenser. She went to the drugstore, and in the drugstore she bought some alcohol and ether, and she made the mix, and she could refill the car. So this story for us is also very important because first it's in Germany for sure, and you have the memorial of Bertha Benz, which exists, and some people are driving there. And second, because it's looking out of the box. Sometimes you need service to help, and the service is the refill. And afterwards, you know the story of the refiller in Europe and in the US. You had these 5 liters boxes everywhere that people could buy to make the refill on their cars. So now, if we use this past story to the future, for sure, for the fuel cell, what we thought is that it's very good to have large infrastructure and very large refilling station, but it will be very nice in 2030 when the network will be covered everywhere in Europe, in US or in China. What do we do now? We have some large refilling station, but I am in Landse. Maybe there will be a large refilling station in Hanover, in the north. But if I have to drive 80 kilometers, I would rather have a small station on site and providing me some hydrogen close to my work, to my city, or to my home. So that's really the concept that we define. It has to be small, it has to be simple, and we called it SimpleFuel.
Can you tell us, I don't know if we're at that section already, but what's inside your unit?
So absolutely.
SimpleFuel.
So the unit is an all-in-one unit. It's for sure refilling and has a dispenser for hydrogen, 350 bar or 700 bar. But it's a all-in-one, and so the production of hydrogen is made by electrolyzer on site, and then we have a compressor and a storage. So the innovation is to use mature technology, electrolyzer alkaline from McPhy, compressor from our partner PDC, an innovative software and IT model to integrate the whole box. So use reliable technology and bring more the innovation, which is to make it small and to make it fast on-site production. So to answer more precisely on the techniques, the size of the device is from 5 to 10 kilo. So it can refill a captive fleet from 5 to 10 vehicles, because usually a vehicle will more or less on a daily travel consume 1 kilo, 100 kilometers, so that's really the goal. The second is there is one model in 700 bar, the other is 350 bar, so it fits also for logistic and forklift. And it has an electrolyzer who can be plugged with either on the grid, or tomorrow we are discussing with a renewable or solar company who would like to integrate it also as a storage. So it's also a dispenser, and I would say it's a device for smart grid, because it enables the grid to create a storage at the right time for the network.
Okay, thank you for that. And if we talk about accessibility, how can we speed up the process to bring it to the client?
So to speed up to the client, one of the ideas has been, and we experienced that already in France, to say, when you will have a large infrastructure deployment for 200 kilo day refilling station, between the permitting, the job site, it will take maybe, and the finance and the fundings of the project, on the average in Europe, it takes 2 years. At best, maybe it will take 1 year in the future. So the idea was, say, what do we do meanwhile? What kind of service we can bring to the customer? So you can imagine that you have your project, your large refilling station will happen in 2019, and then you can put a SimpleFuel to make the bridge, a temporary refilling station before to have the definitive one. What will happen when you have your large refilling station, you just move it. It takes half day to make the setup and the installation of the equipment. You just need a connection to the water and a transformer, and we have a safety box for all the safety functions.
And speaking of that, then my next question is, where can your SimpleFuel be used?
So other usage would be, it can be a company who wants to open to the fleet manager and employees green car and putting some Mercedes, BMW, Hyundai or Toyota cars, car sharing or whatever. And so you can have your electric chargers, and you can have it on a parking slot. It takes the place of one parking car. You can put your SimpleFuel and make the reloads in your company, in your cluster, or in a community location. If you are a retailer for cars, it's also an opportunity for the retailer and the car service to say to the customer, you give me your car for the usual maintenance and I will make the refill on site, rather than driving, take the car back and forth. So it's really to bring a service where people need to have some refill.
At this moment, thank you for that. At this moment, are there any questions from the audience? Okay, 1 second, please.
When it comes to the water, is there any water treatment necessary when it comes to salinity, ions in the water?
Good question. Absolutely. We have a very small purification demineralization unit. According to standard water, if it's a city water, as we use alkaline, the demineralization unit is very standard. It's not sensitive as the PEM. So we have a very small box for treatment of water.
Thank you. Any other questions at this moment? Thank you very much. What is...
I think...
Oh, my apologies. That's too fast.
Yes, I have a general question. Where do you see the future, in the battery or in the fuel cell for transportation, for cars?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's a bit general, absolutely. I believe, and I'm not an expert, I would let the OEM, there are a lot of OEM like Mercedes, BMW, who are providing both electric and fuel cell. So I would say these companies thought about the right strategy and probably they position themselves as providing both. And then you have companies who will say there is full power, so 100% hydrogen motorization, powertrain, and some who will make range extender on hybrid. I think it will be a question of usage, cost, and probably you will have a mix of the whole solutions.
What is driving it? What is driving the battery, and what is driving, or what is driving the battery or the fuel cell? I mean, where is the industrial push?
The industry is pushing, I believe, today all the technologies that are a good and green alternative with respect to gasoline and diesel. I would say, if we look at the big picture, that's it. And then it will depend on some country. I take an example out of Europe. In China, they used to push a lot of battery, and then they are taking in consideration that the recycling of battery becomes a very hurdle and very difficult. And they consider now that fuel cell, first, is very efficient and bring a lot of service. And the third service is the ecological impact. It's easier to recycle polymer membranes and platinum that ion lithium chemical process. So I believe it will be a combination. I don't have the magic answer. What we know is that we will try to help the fuel cell market bring a service to make it easy on the network.
Perfect. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you.
Thanks. One of the slides showed that your system is able to store the large amount of hydrogen.
Correct.
So, what is your biggest project you've done?
Okay. So, good point here. So we are speaking of the small project of SimpleFuel with 5 kilos. So the product is US marking and it will be CE marking by the end of the year. So a big project will be to sell hundreds of units. But I believe your question was more on McPhy. What is the biggest project that we made out of SimpleFuel? So I will answer to that. Currently, we have a 6 megawatt operation running with Audi. The project is called Werte. It's a power-to-gas linked to a methanation unit. And globally, McPhy, with what we have in operation, 7 megawatts, and what we are delivering this year, 6 megawatts. So altogether, we have 13 megawatts in contracts. And a good backlog perspective in the coming years, and also for 2017.
Okay, thanks. And we tried to get the cost of the storage for a long time from your company, and we couldn't. Sorry. What is the price cost of 1 kilo of hydrogen storage, approximately?
So you are speaking of the solid storage. That's your question. Absolutely.
Metal.
Okay. So solid storage, depending on the integration and the technology, because we have two technology, it will be from 5 to 7 times the price of a gas storage. But if you want, we can have after a dedicated meeting and discuss about your project and go into details.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions. I had a question about how the launching came about. What companies were involved?
So this, as it often happens on the hydrogen community and ecosystem, it's a teamwork. So it has been a very collaborative project. So 3 companies worked together for 1 year, more than 20 people. The companies are PDC for the compressor technology. Ivis, who used to, the people were skilled in Uvera and are also part of a spin-off of the MIT and McPhy. These 20 people together made the development of the project in 1 year. They were competing for the Edge Prize, which is a prize organized by the Minister of Energy in the United States, and we have been competing against 15 companies. So we have been the ones selected and awarded, so it's been very challenging, but it obliged us to make really a product design very mature and now think of the rollout. So to make it brief, now how do we share the world, because it's also innovative, because it's an international launch. So the US will be mostly driven by IVIS, business and supply chain. In Europe, McPhy, because we have a good background and footprint in the different countries, we are in charge of the exclusivity of the sales, the supply chain, and the manufacturing. And Asia, and especially China, is so big that we work all the three companies together.
Thank you. And any challenges that you can share with us that you've had so far that stand out?
Yes, absolutely. To make, if you have to install today for some logistic application, which is a very interesting market, it can go quite fast because you are in a private warehouse. So the challenge, as far as you are outside, you don't need any permitting to park your Toyota, your Mirai. It's only 5 kilo storage. The SimpleFuel is only 5 kilo storage, but due to the history of regulation and permitting process in Germany, in France, or wherever, the permitting is too long today. So we are trying to work closely with different authorities so that we can have a fast track for SimpleFuel, because it would be a pity that people and fleet manager buy the cars and say, I need to wait 4 months or 8 months for the permitting, so that's a big challenge. On the other hand, it should go fast for the logistic. It's also interesting, I didn't see a lot of news, I think, on logistics. Maybe next year when Nuvera or Plug Power will be more in advance in Europe. But you know that in the US, you have already 13,000 forklifts who are running fuel cell out of a market of 200,000. So the penetration is very small. It's around less than 1%. And in Europe, you have more than 400,000 forklifts running to the gasoline and a bit of electric. So fuel cell for logistics will be very important. It's part of the logistics zero emission system, and SimpleFuel is a good device for that. And we really are keen to help the different fleet manager for logistics to introduce that.
Thank you. And speaking of that, what do you think can be done to secure the success?
So to secure the success, I think so. We discuss about regulation, for sure. Second will be probably that we can create, we see that in a lot of projects, that some operators are able to propose combined offer. The cars, the car sharing, and the infrastructure, so that the user at the end doesn't care and has a full package, the car or the forklift, and a price of hydrogen, and that's it. So I think, again, we come back not to technology, but service. So I think, again, service will condition the success.
Correct. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to just mention that McPhy Energy is at booth D70, which is sort of just behind us. So please feel free to stop by if you have any more questions. And thank you very much, Bertrand Amelot, for Executive BP of Sales and Marketing.
Thank you, Robin. And may I invite you and invite the public. We are organizing a cocktail with the French Creative Industry Association of Hydrogen. So the whole booth at 4:30 this afternoon. So I think we'll be very glad if you can join us. Normally it should be registered online, but I think there will be enough to drink. It's a cheese and white appetizer, so you will be welcome.
Fantastic.
Beyond SimpleFuel to get a good refill.
Good refuel. That is booth D70 just behind us then for the French reception. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks a lot. And up next, I have my colleague, Brian is coming up, and he will be speaking with Dr. Antoine Mazas, Managing Director of Air Liquide Advanced Technologies, as well as Anna Klekska, Head of Hydrogen Fuel Cell Project at BMW Group, and Ferry Franz, Director at Toyota Motor Europe, the Berlin office. Thanks for staying with us.